This is the most boomer video I think I'll ever make, and that is saying a lot. So, I love Turner Classic Movies. Besides maybe Adult Swim, it's the only channel on cable television that I even bother to tune into nowadays. Turner Classic Movies was launched by Ted Turner in 1994 to provide a dedicated, revenue-generating outlet for the massive library of MGM and pre-1950 Warner Brothers films that he had acquired. The network was designed to appeal to film purists by broadcasting these movies commercial-free and uncut and uncolored, filling a niche for classic cinema that Turner's other channel, TNT, had moved away from. I'm not going to get into the whole rabbit hole of colorized movies from that era. We're just not going to talk about it, but it was a shit show. Years after its launch, when I was a little tiny baby, my dad would frequently put on TCM on TV as a way to calm me down and put me to sleep. 23 or so years later, I still turn my TV on to that channel when I have trouble sleeping. There's just something calming about the sound of transatlantic accents being recorded in mono audio with orchestral movie scores, while the black and white cinematography partially illuminates my room. Not to mention the channel is commercial free, so you get a mostly uninterrupted classic movie marathon right at home. The variety was great too. You could get a James Dean movie, followed by a Western, followed by a monster movie, followed by a Victorian period piece. For a young kid that was gradually finding his love of film, Turner Classic Movies was the perfect channel since they had such a wide range of well-known classics and even fairly obscure movies. Around Halloween, they would play a lot of the old Universal monster movies, which, as a kid, was so unbelievably transformative, and it served as a crash course into digestible horror for a little ankle biter whose only horror experience before that was Goosebumps and Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. Ultimately, what made this channel work so well was its host, the late great Robert Osborne, who hosted for well over 2 decades. His role was to act as an MC of sorts, introducing each movie before it aired. He had this air of authenticity and authority to him, but at the same time, he had this vibe of being like your grandpa introducing you to a movie that he loves and hopes that you will too.
Hi, I'm Robert Osborne, and welcome. It's the 75th anniversary of King Kong, and one way we're going to celebrate that fact is by bringing you a lineup of films from the same year that Kong made his movie debut, 1933. And we're going to start off, of course, with the eighth wonder of the world himself, Mr. Kong.
Sadly, Osborne passed away in 2017 at the age of 85, and in a way, his death marked a turning point for Turner Classic Movies. The network moved away from the bare-bones prestigious love of cinema into what I can only call aging millennial hipster slop. I want you to look at Robert Osborne's set from years ago. And now, look at Ben Mankiewicz's set, which is what is currently being used on TCM. Where would you rather watch a movie? Which set looks more cozy and welcoming? The obvious answer here is Osborne's set. It looks like a private screening room that belonged to someone who loved cinema. The lighting is warm, the furniture feels lived in, and the space created a sense of calm. You could imagine yourself sitting there with him while he talked through why a movie mattered. The current set looks clean and professionally assembled, yet they lack personality. The weird white, gray walls, the geometric shelving, the soft corporate lighting, and the wide open spaces give the impression of a modern dentist's office. The atmosphere feels cold and distant. It resembles a branded digital studio more than a space where someone might actually want to watch a movie. The result is a presentation that feels millennial in the most manufactured sense. It's hard to describe this. I'm not dissing all millennials, but like the aesthetic, it just screams that specific generation. Meanwhile, the current hosting style is very slow and meandering. Again, the original point of these is that they would play before a movie started. It was your introduction to whatever movie this is. And they would typically be about 1 minute to 2 minutes. It would be, here's who directed it, here's who stars in it, here's something to look out for, here's a piece of trivia, and go, movie play. That would be it. The current hosts now often just circle around a point endlessly. The pacing is very padded and the commentary just drifts in and out of relevant information, which works against the strengths of classic movie broadcasting. Viewers come to TCM for the movies, not to hear these weirdos talk about random bullshit for like 5 minutes straight. Robert Osborne understood the importance of restraint. He was given a massive platform to basically say whatever he wanted about these classic movies, and he chose brevity. This is an attitude that I wish the current hosts would embrace. The channel just feels like a ghost of its former self, with its programming strategy being actively diluted by corporate calculation and a nervous desire to appear relevant. The decline is depressing to watch, and it's a fundamental betrayal of the mission that made TCM indispensable. The most glaring offense is the unrelenting cycle of repetition. Look, when I turn on Turner Classic Movies, I'm not tuning in for my 10th viewing of Casablanca or Singing in the Rain in a calendar year, but for the thrill of discovery, whether it be the obscure B-movie from Monogram, the pre-code gem, or the utterly forgotten international masterwork that the network used to show. It's abundantly clear that TCM has sacrificed its identity as a comprehensive archive for the lazy comfort of high ratings by showing the same handful of safe classics month after month. It's like a classic rock radio station playing the same Motley Crue songs over and over again. The spirit of film preservation is not in showing Gone with the Wind for the millionth time that month. It is ensuring that the other 99% of film history doesn't completely vanish from the airwaves. Something else that's becoming more and more noticeable, though, is the loosey-goosey nature of what is and isn't considered to be a classic film. A classic used to imply an artifact of enduring cinematic, historical, or cultural significance. But now, they're playing movies from the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s. Why? A great movie is a great movie, but these are not classics in my eyes. They are not Turner Classic movies. Again, boomer take here from a 23-year-old man, but I think the cutoff point for a movie being broadcast on TCM should be 1968, when the Hays Code was formally retired. When the channel devotes precious programming hours to films that are widely available on every major streaming platform, it forfeits its unique value proposition and cheapens the very concept of a channel like Turner Classic Movies. Finally, I think the biggest and most significant shift away from eclectic supplemental content and the overemphasis on series like Reframed further signals the loss of nerve. The channel once thrived on classic shorts, cartoon reels, rare interviews, and genuine deep dive context provided by knowledgeable hosts. This is stuff that would all play in between the movies. It was supplemental content. It elevated the viewing experience into a genuine film school of sorts. But now they have segments like Reframed, which I'm sure were well-intentioned, but they just come off as being condescending and unnecessary, where the host talks about how this movie made 100 years ago is racist and bad.
Our job is to make sure that classic movies stay relevant to those conversations. These films, these movies that we love, that we adore, they are vital components of our shared cultural history. And we think these movies need to be part of that conversation.
I'm here to watch classic cinema. I'm not a child. I don't need a lecture before enjoying art. The people watching this are adults who are capable of engaging with complicated, flawed historical texts. It detracts from the pure immersive joy of watching a movie, and it replaces academic curiosity with a predictable defensive posture. And I get it, I myself had dedicated time in my own movie retrospectives to talk about black and brown face in classic movies like King Kong vs. Godzilla. But I do think there is a time and a place to get into stuff like that. With my content, these are multi-hour long deep dives. You can afford a quick 5-minute discussion about that stuff in a 5-hour video. It's just not the same when you're actively being shown this type of condescending slop while waiting to watch a movie. Speaking of, for a channel that used to pride itself on being ad-free, it sure does feature a fair bit of self-promo ad breaks in between movies that push things like the TCM Wine Club.
Your first case includes 12 delicious wines, each with a recommended movie pairing.
Or the TCM Studio Tour.
That's why we're proud to announce the all-new TCM and Warner Brothers Studios Classic Films Tour.
Or the TCM Movie Cruise. It's called the TCM Movie Cruise. It's the Turner Classic Movie Cruise.
Join us aboard the Disney Magic for 5 unforgettable nights as we travel from New York to Bermuda. Along the way, enjoy your favorite movies and one-of-a-kind events with a family of film lovers just like you.
All of this stuff just feels completely disconnected from the movies that are actually being shown on the network. The presentation treats classic film like a lifestyle accessory instead of something worth discussing on its own terms. The tone of these breaks feels identical to subscription box ads and influencer promotions. It drags the channel down and it cheapens the experience. But why is this? Beyond the channel trying to appeal to millennials rather than the aging boomers, major staff cuts and executive changes in 2023 under its parent company Warner Bros. Discovery has caused significant anxiety and outrage among hardcore fans of the network. Even with the public support and involvement of directors like Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg to safeguard the channel's mission, the shakeup led to fears about the long-term commitment to TCM's unique curation and identity. As a result, this led to the departure of longtime programmers and general managers due to the restructuring that raised concerns about who would maintain the high-quality, curated schedule that made TCM a national treasure. And with Netflix possibly buying out Warner Brothers, I am terrified that it's only going to get worse from here. Look, in my opinion, Turner Classic thrived at its absolute peak when it welcomed viewers into a space that actually felt like it was curated by a person rather than assembled by a design team. The point of this video isn't to spread hate to the hosts or anyone who enjoys this stuff. I'm not targeting a specific host. If anything, they seem misguided on what the point of TCM even is, or rather, what it was. I'm just a big fan of the network, and I really wish it wasn't heading in this current direction. Maybe I'm just crazy, and I'm the only one who feels this way, or maybe not. Sound off in the comments. I'm Cole McCormick, you're watching Firewood Media. If you like classic films like I do, feel free to check out some of my videos. I'm currently working on a massive Godzilla retrospective project where I talk about every movie and TV show in the franchise, but I talk about other stuff too. There are tons of video essays that you can check out on this channel that are kind of in line with what you just saw here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.